Hey guys, welcome to my channel or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Lauren and today I'm going to be doing a book review of all the books that I read in 2024. Here on my phone I have a list of all the books that I read. I read a total of 21 books and my goal was 20, so I succeeded. I surpassed my goal. Most of them I read on my Kindle, but I do have some hard copies here of the ones that I read. So I'm just going to kind of like break down kind of like my personal review of the book, how I felt, and I'll do a little synopsis, like a summary of what the book was about. So first, let's start off with Iron Flame. I have the hard copy here. So I rated this book an 8 out of 10. It was 623 pages. The author is Rebecca Yarros. I felt like it was a really interesting book. It takes place in the second year of Violet, in her second year of college at the Bazagath. I can never pronounce it correctly, but the college. And I love the hard copy of the book because it shows the map of the school. And she's kind of learned some things about government, and along with her new training, she's also making new enemies. It's a really, really good book, and I'm excited for the new one to come out, Onyx Storm. It's coming out at the end of this month. I already pre-ordered mine. I ordered the special edition because it's got like the pretty little dragons on the pages, and I'm really excited to see what happens next. This is the second book in the Fourth Wing series, if nobody knows. I'm like legit obsessed. The second book that I read this year is called Flying Changes. I'll put it up here on the screen. It's by Sarah Gruen. It was 372 pages, and I rated it a 9 out of 10. It's like a equestrian drama. It's an equestrian book. Basically, it's about this girl and her parents get in a really bad car crash, and they both end up dying. So she's basically an orphan, and she's trying to like train her mom's horse. She's dealing with all of like horse stuff and family stuff, and it's a very, very good drama. She ends up like falling in love with somebody. It's a really cute book, like on all ends. I thought it was great. I believe it's the second book in a series of riding lessons. So don't quote me on that, but I believe it is. Then the third book that I read is The Things We Leave Unfinished. It was 429 pages, and I gave it a 4 out of 10. I didn't like that I had to keep pushing myself to get to the end of the book. It just wasn't that great. So it's basically about this girl that's going through a divorce. She's 28 years old, and as she's going through this divorce, she ends up going back home to New York, and she's in her grandmother's house. She like ends up inheriting her grandmother's house, and she ends up falling in love with this boy named Noah that's like in his pinnacle career of his book. And it's just not that great. I just didn't love it. I kind of like more like romancy books sometimes. It depends on the mood that I'm in, but I just didn't love this book. So that's why I gave it the score that I did. The next one is Rock, Paper, Scissors. It was 312 pages. I gave it a 5 out of 10 just because it took me a while to get into the book, but once I did, the ending was jaw-dropping. So it's about this couple, and they end up winning, well, their marriage is like kind of getting complicated, and they end up winning this trip in a raffle, and they go into this house, and like they think it's haunted, and like some stuff goes down, and there's like a witch that like lives next door. It's interesting and like kind of keeps you on the edge of your seat. It just took a while for it to get interesting, so that's why I didn't love it. I mean, I would recommend it. I think this was like one of the hit books that I found on TikTok that people were loving, that kind of got me interested in wanting to read it. So I would say definitely it's a read. Like, read it if you want to, if it's on your TBR. But I just didn't love it because it didn't have that oomph in the beginning of the story. It just took a long time to get interesting for me, but it did have a good plot. Then next I read The Housemaid. I believe it's becoming a TV series or a movie. I'm so excited. I absolutely love the Housemaid series. The first one was 325 pages, and I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. Just because, like, I feel like it's not perfect. It could be changed a little bit to make it perfect. I literally read this book in a week. That's how good this book was. I could not put it down. I ended up reading it on my Kindle. And it was just absolutely jaw-dropping. I love Frida McFadden. She's one of my favorite authors. I read a lot of her books. I feel like 2024 was like the year of Frida McFadden for me. And it was just absolutely fantastic. It's about this girl, and she ends up kind of being like a murderer, and she goes and gets a job as a housemaid in like this rich person's house, and basically people hire her to kill people. And she ends up like falling in love with the landscaper, and later on, because there's like a lot of books, it's like the Housemaids Secret, and the latest one that I just read, she ends up like having a baby with Enzo, and it's just so good. Like towards the end of the series, it's just such a great series, and I highly recommend reading The Housemaid, especially since it's going to become a TV series / movie. I don't know which one. Then next, for number 6, I read The Housemaids Secret. It was 306 pages. I gave this one a 9 out of 10. It wasn't as good as the first one, but it had a lot of plot twists, and it's a must-read after reading the first one. Like I said, it's a great series, so if you start reading it, you're not going to want to stop, and you're going to end up wanting to read the entire series. Trust me, it's amazing. The 7th book I read was The Teacher by, again, Frida McFadden. It was 391 pages, and I gave it an 8 out of 10. So basically, it's just like a psychological thriller, and there's like a lot of twists and turns, and there's like a teacher love, like a teacher like falls in love with a student, and it reminds me of a movie that I saw on Lifetime, so I don't remember the name of the movie. I wish I did, but it's just a really, really good book. Again, I highly recommend any Frida McFadden book, so I absolutely loved that book as well. Then another one by Frida McFadden, number 8, is Never Lie by Frida McFadden. I gave that one a 9.5 out of 10. I literally wrote crazy ending. So Never Lie is pretty fast-paced. It's a psychological thriller again, and it's about this therapist and the husband, I believe. No, the therapist just mysteriously goes missing. She just disappears. Again, awesome book. It's just so good. Number 9 I read is A Court of Thorns and Roses. This is by Sarah J. Maas, and as you can see, I ended up like tabbing off some of the parts of the book that I thought were interesting. I gave it legit a 10 out of 10. It was 416 pages. I said it had an amazing plot and character development, some romantic scenes but not too spicy, and I said it could potentially be a teens book because I believe these were originally written as a young adult. Sorry, it's getting really bright in here. Let me just close the blinds. The sun decided to come out. It was cloudy, and as I'm filming in my bedroom where I thought there was good lighting, it got pretty sunny in here. But like I was saying, I believe this book is meant to be more of like a teen book, and it did have like some spicy stuff, but not like too spicy. And I wanted to keep getting like sucked into the fairy world because it's about this girl, and I guess there's like this kind of like barrier between like the real world and then like the fairy world, and she ends up like getting taken away by this wolf man, and she ends up falling in love with this wolf man, but he's actually like a person, and he has like a mask on all the time. She can never see his face because there's a curse on the land, and she's like trying to like get to the bottom of the curse on the land. But then in the end, it turns out, I think it's in the end, it turns out that he's not a good guy, that he's a bad guy. Yeah, it's just an amazing, amazing series. I'm on the 3rd book in the series. So good. So right after that one, I ended up reading A Court of Mist and Fury. It's by the same author. I really tabbed this one up. Amazing. I liked this one better than the first one because we get into the character of Xaden, I believe his name is. Is it Xaden? No, Reese. Xaden isn't the character in the other book. But I gave this one... Oh, I didn't rate it. Let me rate it now. I would rate this book a 9 out of 10. It had some things that it could, you know, get adjusted, but it was just so good. It was about the High Court and how she ends up going into, she ends up going into the Night Court after she was like under the ground. I forgot what it was called. Oh, she was like under the mountain to try to save Tamerlane, and Reese ends up saving her, and she ends up falling in love with him, and that's like her soulmate is Rysand. And then in the book that I'm reading now, he is like telling her like to go back to like the spring land so that she can like figure out the secrets from Tamlin. It's really, really good. So that was book number 10. Book number 11 was The Island. I have that physical copy. This was a really, really good book. It was about this amusement park. Oh, let me tell you how many pages and stuff, what I rated it. So it was 303 pages. I rated it 9 out of 10 stars because the ending was jaw-dropping, but it pissed me off because there's no sequel and it's a cliffhanger. So I read all of that for nothing. Wow. Like, I literally wrote that after I finished the book. And it was so good. It's about, like, these, like, famous TikTokers and stuff, and they go to this amusement park, and everybody ends up dying, like, or disappearing, like, throughout the book, and they didn't know why. They didn't know who was killing them. And, they end up all dying. So, yeah, it's really, really, really good. I highly recommend that book. It's just a fun read. It's a quick read. I think I read that in, like, a week. Number 12 was The Shark Club. It was 273 pages. I gave it a 7 out of 10. So Shark Club was about, like, these finners that, like, fin sharks. And it's just kind of like a beach read to me, honestly. And it's just, like, this girl that, she tries to, like, save the sharks. It's a really, really, really good book. This is the cover of it. It's so cute. Well, you would have seen it anyway, but such a cute book. So good. Number 13. The Housemaid is Watching. It was 354 pages. Literally, I said I gave it a 10 out of 10. I said that the ending left me shocked as it was a jaw-dropping book, and I would have never guessed who killed the neighbor. So yeah, it was just amazing. Number 14, The Summer of Broken Rules. I have the hard copy here. 354 pages, 7.5 out of 10. Easy read, but didn't grab my attention as much, and it was really hard to get through. So basically, like, she goes to Martha's Vineyard for somebody's wedding, and then she ends up falling in love with the groomsman. It's a good, like, summer read. Like, I can imagine, like, reading this by the pool or on the beach. It's good. I just didn't love it compared to, like, all the other books that I read, you know? Let's see. So that was book number 14. Number 15, The Last Mrs. Parrish. I was disappointed. I heard really good things about this book, and I gave it a 4 out of 10. It was 391 pages. I said it was hard for me to get into, and I wanted to read it because it was a popular book, but I definitely did not love it. The last quarter of the book was really interesting, though, and I actually just read The Next Mrs. Parrish. I just finished it, and it was really good. So, like, The Last Mrs. Parrish is about this girl, and she's, like, getting, like, mentally abused by her husband, and so is the kids. And basically, like, her incentive is just to, like, get away from him. So she makes him fall in love with somebody else, and she ends up escaping. It's okay. The second one, though, was pretty good. The next I read The Funny Story by Emily Henry. Love an Emily Henry book. I wish she wrote more books because I love them. I just blow through them so quickly. So basically, she's trying to get, like, her dream job as a librarian, and she moves back to her hometown, and, like, in the end of the book, she ends up like, getting her own library and, like, moves in with, like, her best friend. Like, they were, like, best friends, and, like, she, like, falls in love with him. It was so cute. Did I tell you my rating on that book? I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. Next, I read One by One. I don't have that one. So I put it on the screen. One by One by Frida McFadden. It was 292 pages. I gave it a 9 out of 10. I said it was a strange plot twist, and it was an easy read. So basically, like, a group of 6 friends go into the woods, and they end up getting lost, and because, like, the car breaks down on their way to a cabin, and they have, like, no food, no water. They only have, like, a little bit of trail mix and, like, half a bottle of water, and then, like, they end up, like, kind of disappearing as the book goes on, and we end up, like, finding out who's killing them, and it's really, really jaw-dropping. It was a really, really good book. I enjoyed that one. It actually kept me on the edge of my seat because you don't really know, like, who the killer is till the end of the book. It's really good. After that one, number 18 is The Locked Door by Frida McFadden. It was 294 pages. I said I gave it a 9.6 out of 10. It was not an ending that I expected, and it leaves room for a second novel, and I liked that a lot. Definitely a huge plot twist. So basically it's about this girl, and she has no idea that her father is murdering girls in the basement, and she ends up being a psychiatrist, and one of her patients ends up killing people in the same way that her dad did. So it's a serial killer. So it's very, very good. Again, Frida McFadden. I absolutely demolished her books this year. I loved all of them. So, number 19 is Snowed In. I gave it a 7 out of 10 because I said it was boring and slow and hard to get through. So basically, Snowed In is about this girl. I think I read this like back in November. It's about this girl that, she's like all alone for the holidays, and she lives in Ireland. And there's this boy that like she ends up bumping into at the bar. And she's like, hey, like, for the Christmas season, like, do you want to come home with me? So, like, this would not happen in real life. Do you want to come home with me and, like, we can, like, pretend to be boyfriend and girlfriend so I don't have to do my family alone. And they're from, like, the same town back home. So he said yes, and they go to each other's house for Christmas and this and that. And they end up, like, getting, like, snowed into this cabin where the boy's brother was supposed to get engaged to his girlfriend. And they end up, like, falling in love because there's, like, a hot tub and it's, like, all sexy and everything. And they end up, like, falling in love over there. And it's just, it's okay. It was okay. Because it was not realistic. So, I didn't love it. I mean, what book is, I'm talking about fairy worlds over here. But, you know what I mean. It wasn't that great. And the next one I read was Christmas Fix. I gave it a 9.7 out of 10. I literally read this book in like a week. I bought this at Target. It was so good. I didn't even know what I was walking into with this, and it's about this guy named Noah Yates, and he lives in Connecticut, which is like a town that's pretty close to where I live. It's about an hour from me. And then right next to Halloween, it's like, it takes place in October. And Halloween, there's this like really bad hurricane that happens, and it destroys the town. And there's this girl that ends up saving him, and we don't know who it is till like the end of the book. And basically, like, they have this tradition where like there's this beautiful tree and everything, and he's like so scared that his town's not going to get their Christmas tradition that they always get. And then there's this girl that ends up coming down to be part of like a TV show, and she tries to like fix the town, and he's reluctant, but she ends up fixing and doing a really good job, and he ends up falling in love with her. And it's really cute. It's a really good book. Highly recommend for this Christmas season at the end of this year. And then the last book I read, which was recent, was The Next Mrs. Parrish. It was 321 pages. I gave it an 8.9 out of 10. It was really good. So if you've read the first one, this one just kind of like takes place with her in California, Daphne in California, and she ends up having to go back to Connecticut because the girls want to see their dad, and the mom is like, no, don't go, and he ends up trying to like seduce her, and he drugs her and tries to like frame her for stuff, and we like end up finding out that like Amber is wanted for murder, and it's so good. The ending is crazy. I'm not even gonna tell you the ending because I want you to read it. It's so good. Highly recommend that book. And that's it. That was my 21 books. My goal next year, oh my god, we're in 2025. Crazy. My goal this year is to read 25 books because I've read 21. So my goal is maybe to do 25. I've already started a book, and then I'm waiting for Onyx Storm to come. So I would like to finish this book that I'm reading currently before Onyx Storm comes to my house because I pre-ordered it. So I'm excited for that. And that's basically it for my books. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your TBR down below if you have any like recommendations for anything. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great new year, and catch you guys in a few. Bye. Love you.